Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Supplementary Videos. My name is Kasanas. Guys, in this episode we're going to take a look at the ability to either create or destroy an object through the instantiation or destroy function. Alright, let's get started. All right, guys, let's get started by taking a look at where we're at right now. And again, I'm going to apologize. I'm still not feeling great. So the editing in this video might be a little wonky as I have coughing fits off screen. Let's start off by hitting play and taking a look at where we're at. We've got this bouncy head. I'm going to select it over here, this bouncy head, and it's going to bounce back and forth, and eventually it's going to fall off the screen. Now, we've got a problem here because that object still exists in memory. It is falling through virtual space forever and ever and ever, using up our processing power. We don't want that to happen. What we want to do is be able to destroy that object when we're not using it anymore. So I'm going to stop this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create myself a brand new game object, just an empty game object. So create empty. I'm going to call this let's call it the destroy zone. Let's call it that. That's a great name, destroy zone. And I'm going to just reset it so it's at my origin. Now, currently, this destroy zone is nothing but an empty game object. If I want to be able to visualize this object in some way, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned this in past videos, right here, this kind of 3D looking cube thing, you can click that, and it's going to allow you to add an icon to your object. So if I click this red one right here, it's going to allow me to have a visualization of precisely where that object is. If I click off it on something else, that visualization remains. So I always know where the destroy zone is. I can go through and select it really easily. Okay, so we've already explored the idea of collider interactions. Our head right now, this knight head, currently has a rigid body 2D on it, dynamic, as well as a circle collider itself. What we want to do is add something that's going to be able to catch that head and destroy it so it stops using up memory. I'm going to go over to my add component right inside my destroy zone. I'm going to say add component. I'm going to add myself a physics 2D, and I'm going to add not a rigid body, excuse me, a collider of some kind. And the collider you decide to add is up to you entirely. I'm going to add for now a box collider. And there we go. I'm going to change this into a trigger. And I'm going to kind of stretch this object out so that it is covering a larger area, just so my head as it passes through can't miss it. So just something like this. Now, if I hit play now, we already know what's going to happen. This head is going to go bounce, bounce, bounce. It's going to fall through, and it's going to fall directly through this trigger. We spoke previously about, in one of the other episodes, we spoke about the idea of being able to interact with these objects. So what I'd like to be able to do is create an interaction that occurs and destroys this object. All right, so let's go into our destroy zone. Let's go ahead and add ourselves a new component. Let's add ourselves a brand new script. Let's call this script, let's just call it destroy object. Let's just call it that. Destroy object zone. Controller. All right, we'll call it that. We'll call it that. All right, I'm going to add that. And once it's added, I'm going to double click to open it up. All right. Oh, and it opened up over here. So I'm just going to drag this over here so we can see it. All right, so we spoke in a previous episode about the ability to communicate between two objects, either utilizing the on trigger enter, on trigger exit, or on trigger stay. We don't actually need our void start or our update, so let's just get rid of it for now. And what we're going to do is start typing right away. This is going to be a void function, and it's going to be our on trigger enter 2D. So as soon as the other object enters into this trigger, it's going to be destroyed. That's what I want to happen. So I'm going to use the destroy command. So destroy right there, destroy. And there's a couple of options with destroy, but what do we actually want to destroy? Exactly what's written here, actually. We actually want to use the destroy collision.game object. So what this is going to do is as this object enters, or as any object enters into this trigger, it's going to initiate this destroy, and it's going to destroy the top level, the game object that is attached to the collider. In our case, that's perfectly fine because of the way that, let me just file save this and show you. Save all and move this out of the way. It's perfectly fine to use this collision.game object. The collider itself is actually located directly on the top hierarchy of our knight. So we don't have to worry about going any further than that. If you had to go further, you might have to change the code a little bit, but in our case, we don't need to because it is actually located right here. The collider itself is here. It's going to enter into the trigger and it's going to be destroyed. So let's take a look. Bounce, bounce, and in where it immediately gets destroyed. All right, we saw it disappear from the hierarchy. We're no longer tracking it at all. Okay, that's how easy it is to be able to destroy any object that comes into contact with the trigger itself, utilizing the destroy collision.game object. You can set up the destroy command to have a certain amount of time that it exists, so destroy in X amount of time. There's a couple of different options for it, but in our case, we want to destroy it right away. Okay, let's take a look at an example of how we would create new options as well. I'm just going to drag this out of the way. Right now, our head kind of exists just in space right here. It starts falling and all the action takes place. What if I actually wanted to start with nothing on the screen and create a brand new head? Well, let's take a look at how we're going to do that. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my prefabs option down here. And I'm going to, again, you can call it anything you want. I call it prefab, so I know my prefabs. We spoke about this in a previous episode. I'm going to drag my knight head, and I'm going to drop it off down here in my prefabs folder. That's automatically going to create a prefab of this head. That means I can drag this out as many times as I want. And there we go. Every time I hit play now, these heads are going to go through exactly the same thing. They're all identical in nature. Boom, boom, boom. They're all getting destroyed. Awesome. But what if I didn't want to start with any heads on the screen? So let's get rid of the heads we have. I'll delete this one, I'll delete this one, and I'll delete this one here. We can still drag new ones on from our prefab, so that's not a problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a brand new game object, just an empty game object once again, and let's call this game object our creation zone. Awesome name, creation zone. And again, I'm going to just reset it and drag it up, and just like we did in with the other one, I'm going to create myself we'll use this kind of bluish color. Indigo, I don't know what color that is. It's something aquamarine, I guess. We'll use this aquamarine to identify where this is visually. Okay, let's go ahead and add ourselves a brand new component. Once again, we're going to add ourselves a brand new script, and let's call this brand new script our creation zone controller. Damn it. I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm going to start thinking of names before, guys. I apologize. All right, creation zone controller. There we go. And to our creation zone controller, what I would like to do is I would like to add the ability to actually create something. So let's say add component, no, not add component. Let's double click on here and open it up and drag it back over. So here's our creation zone. We have ourselves a start and an update. We're going to use a start, but we don't need the updates. Let's get rid of the update right away. Just boom, boom. We don't need it. Let's clear it. What I would like to do is I would like to create a public game object that I'm going to call our create object. All right, we'll call it our create object. And this is the object that we want to create whenever we start this particular application up. I'm going to come down into our start, and we're just going to create one of them. If you wanted to create this in a loop and build a bunch of them, you absolutely could. We're just going to create one for now so we can demonstrate how the instantiation works. What I want to do in the start function is I want to instantiate, and I want to instantiate our create object. All right, so I'm just going to leave it like this. Again, there's other options within here. Instantiate, you can have it instantiate in with a particular rotation in a particular location and that kind of thing. But I'm just going to instantiate our create object, and I'm going to file save this. All right, I'm going to move this out of the way. So I've only added that one line of code. It's right here, and now it's looking, because this is a public variable, it's looking for the object that we actually want to instantiate. In our case, it's our prefab. We want to instantiate this knight head. So I'm going to drag the knight head and I'm going to drop it off right inside there. Awesome. Let's move this over so we kind of get a little bit of an interaction. When the knight head is created, it's going to come and bounce and etc. Let's hit play and see what happens. Boom, instantiate the knight head, and it fell. Now, actually, it doesn't really matter where I place this. Let's move it over like this and hit play. Because it's being instantiated right there in the location where the actual prefab was set up, it's being instantiated where the prefab itself was saved. If we wanted to change that and we actually want to instantiate where this object is located instead, let's drag this over. And inside of here, we can actually add some additional information. So instead of instantiating it directly where it was originally created, where the prefab was selected, instead we want to instantiate it at this at the transform position. Transform dot position. So what this is going to do is based on this object itself, it's going to be looking for a transform position of this object and utilize that. We're also going to be utilizing as well a quaternion rotation. So that's what's required here. You can see there are 13 different options for instantiate. In our particular case, we are using the object itself, a vector position, and a quaternion rotation. That's going to allow it to come in with a specified rotation as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in there quaternion. And because I don't really care, I don't want to have any rotation, I'm just going to use what's called the identity itself. And this is going to allow it to come in with 0 rotation. Okay, let me file save this, save all, and let's move this out of the way. Now, we're still going to have a slight issue because of the knight itself. If we double click on our knight has a position of an X and Y that's associated with it. We just want to zero this out. So right now, if I say 0, 0, there we go, and I save this, it's automatically saved. I head back to my scene. Now, wherever I drag this thing here, my creation zone, wherever I drag it, that is where the knight head is going to be instantiated. So let's hit play and check it out. There we go. The knight's head was instantiated right on top of that location. Perfect, and it gets destroyed. All right, everyone. That's what I wanted to explore in this particular video. Nice and short and sweet. Destroy and instantiate, 2 really important functions that you need to know. All right, everybody, I hope you got something out of it. If you did, let me know down below in the comments. If you didn't, tell me that too. If you want these to be longer or shorter, let me know. All right, guys, thumbs up, thumbs down, comments down below, and if you haven't done so, please take a few seconds to subscribe. Have yourselves a wonderful day, everyone.